Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Happy Friday, folks. Happy joyful Friday. I feel joyful today. I do, despite the fact that there are many things to not be joyful about. I nonetheless am joyful. I am a joyful warrior. That is what I am. And I am joyful because you guys have decided to join me. I see you there, Zelda. Welcome, my friend. Meredith Powell is here. Blue Lady is here. Valerie G. The Trump Reaper, of course, is here. Veronica Tello. I see we were having a conversation about how we found BDD. Isn't that lovely? Yes, it was during COVID. I started doing this thing actually originally to share. To help me share and publicize my book, The Littlest President. And I have some news about that too. And so I was like reading some pages from it, and little by little, we kind of grew a community. It was actually a bit bigger when Twitter had that Periscope thing, and I used to, broadcast the show through that. And then Twitter became like a bit of a hellscape, and so people scrammed. But anyway, yeah, I'm so happy to have you guys here with me in my life. Watcher Soko, welcome. Jenny Rayner is here. Yeah, so we have a good show, I believe. We have an interesting show for you today. There's some things that I'm a little bit excited about. But first, let's do a summary of the stories that we have to cover in Stories of the Day.
Stories of the Day.
Oh, yeah. See that? There's Meredith Powell saying, I found BDD during COVID a big relief. Thank you for that. You guys are a big relief for me, too. You help me, keep my sanity. Yes. Hey, Simon Metcalf, I see you there, my friend. Samantha Hawkins, Minnie Mouse, LB, Punxsutawney Mo, Sandra from Paramount, California, the ABX girl. The gang's all here. Oh, there's Lulu Girl. Welcome, my friend. Okay. And Nurse Mitch, Phyllis Harrison, Elena Palmieri. Everybody's here. Thank you guys for showing up. Okay, so what do we have? We have this. We have I'm Speaking. If you heard the words I'm Speaking this week, you heard them spoken by our VP, soon to be our POTUS, Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris injected even more enthusiasm. You thought things were crazy before? Oh my goodness, she introduced her vice POTUS, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. And he's just an all-around great guy. But he's also good. He's no pushover. He's no pushover. He will hand you your hat. And then there's low energy, sad, weird old Donald Trump, who is really becoming more and more. It's hard to pin down exactly how much more deranged he is now than he was like a month ago or a year ago. Every time you see him act a fool, you're like, oh man, he's really coming apart at the seams. But he is coming apart. Maybe he's just a constant like unhinged. Anyway, he had a press conference yesterday that was unhinged and chock full of lies. And the press did a poor job at calling him out on his lies. Everybody except for Lawrence O'Donnell. And what does a lady have to do to get some goddamn respect while they are busy chasing? While they're busy ignoring all of the lies that Donald Trump spewed during his unhinged press conference at Mar-a-Lago, they're busy, asking, well, why hasn't Kamala Harris done a press conference? Why hasn't she done a one-on-one interview? Where is her? What the hell is wrong with you people? And you're doubting her ability to speak extemporaneously with you clowns. Look, I'm speaking extemporaneously myself right now off the top of my head. I ain't got no script, no teleprompter. It's just me. And did not attend Howard University. I was not a prosecutor. I was not a district attorney or an attorney general or United States senator. You guys really think that she's somehow dodging you and your inane, asinine questions? You better get with the program, God damn it. Don't get me started. I'm already started. So while I'm started, make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button. The like looks like this thumbs up right here. I'm going to try to zoom through my usual stuff as quickly as possible so we can get to the meat and potatoes, the nitty gritty. So this is part of the nitty, actually. It's not often where you get to prove to people, like, I called it, I knew. Let's go to the videotape. So when Kamala Harris unveiled her pick for vice president this week, a few days later, I asked my buddy Kenny Hess, aka the Hessinator, on the Defiant podcast. I asked Kenny, I was like, I feel like I said something about Tim Walz, didn't I? Didn't I say? So what did we do? We went to the videotape, and that, my friends, is what I'm going to do right now and share with you what I said a week ago. The major news event, I think, of the month probably was that Kamala Harris, after much speculation over the past 2 weeks since she was passed the torch, so to speak, she finally did announce her vice presidential pick, her running mate.
Finally.
And that was Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head if I actually said the words that I liked Tim Walz last week, but I know I was feeling it.
Yeah. If you're a betting person,
do you have like a top four?
I have a top four. So top one, 75% chance is Josh Shapiro.
Wow.
Which
75?
75%. And the next person after that, Andy Bashir, drops down to 10%. Then you have Mark Kelly at 7%. These are just betting odds, I guess. And then Tim Walz at 6%.
Interesting. I like Tim Walz, actually. I was saying before that I like Mark Kelly more because he's an astronaut, and he's also a senator from Arizona. But then we have some viewers who are like, no, don't take don't take our senator away. We're trying to keep that Senate seat. So, but Tim Walz, I don't know if you've seen him on some of these talk shows, the political talk shows. Man, he would make a very effective attack dog. That's primarily the job of the VP. You may just call me Nostradamus. Yes, and many people do call me Nostradamus. No, nobody calls me Nostradamus. But yes, I did display a little bit of clairvoyance there, a feel for what's the correct pick. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it you? Was it Bernadette who was like, no, don't take our Don't take our senator. One of you guys, it was one of you guys here who was like, no, leave Mark Kelly out of your out of your discussion. So yeah, I left him out, and I proposed. I said, yeah, maybe Tim Walz is the way to go. And clearly, Vice President Kamala Harris was watching my show, and she's like, well, there it is. Brooklyn Dad says Tim Walz. That's the one. She hadn't made up her mind until she watched Storytime with BDD. That's what it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. God damn it. All right. Moving right along. The Paris Olympics continue, and I am continuing to, for some reason, miss the Olympics every single day of the week. But tonight may be different because it's something I'm really excited about seeing. First of all, let's discuss this gentleman here. Whoa, Zelda, my friend. Thank you. Thank you so kindly for the kind, generous donation. Thank you. We appreciate you here at Storytime with BDD for supporting the show. Thank you, Zelda. Yeah, so this was Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles actually ran the 100 earlier this week and just went bonkers. I think he broke a record, or he finished under 10 seconds, really blazing speed. And then he got sick. He had COVID. And this brother, by the way, also has asthma. So asthma and COVID, that's the double whammy. He had to run the 200, did not want to sit it out. He went to work sick. How many of us have gone to work sick? I know I have. But I don't know if my work was involving like running 200 yards as fast as I can, 200 meters. That's tough. But he ran anyway. And I think he settled for the bronze, but still, that's a hell of a feat to do that while you had COVID. Now, that said, everybody else was like, what? Brother had COVID? Had the nerve to run with me? He walked past me. But don't worry, he did rent himself a hotel room, and he took Paxlovid, I think, to help speed up the recovery thing. But speaking of speeding up, Sha'Carri Richardson ran the 4x100 relay today, and she turned some heads when she turned her own head. She was the final leg in the 4x100, and I think her team, the USA, was down. They were in fourth place when they passed her the baton. And man, she took off, and I can't do a good impersonation, but she was running, and then as she passed, as she came into first place, she turned her head to watch the runners she was passing as she finished and secured the gold for the United States. Wow, that's impressive. Impressive as hell. Well done, Sha'Carri Richardson. But this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm looking forward to. This is a new event in the Olympics. It's break dancing, Olympic break dancing. Now, back in my day, when I was a young buck, when I were a kid, I used to do the electric boogie. You can't see it, but I'm doing the arm wave thing. I used to pop lock and do all that stuff. That was back in the day. I'm old enough to remember. Anyway, this is exciting. I am definitely going to check this out no matter what. I'm excited to see Olympic breakdancing. And as you guys know, it's Friday night, so it's pizza and movie night. And part of my movie night, I will be checking out this new movie on Apple TV. It's called The Investigators. You might recognize one of these guys as Matt Damon. And the guy next to him or behind him is Casey Affleck, brother of Ben. And do not break arm dancing. Punxsutawney, no. I never did that break dancing. The stuff on the knees. No, it was strictly just the gliding on the floor, the moonwalking and that sort of that stuff. I didn't do the spinning stuff. I'm not crazy. But the Instigators is a heist movie. I loves me a heist movie, like, Ocean's 11, that sort of thing. And it's also starring Ving Rhames, who you might recognize from Pulp Fiction or from Mission Impossible, or even more recently, his voice on the Arby's commercials. We have the meats. There's also Alfred Molina, aka Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2, and Ron Perlman, who I used to see on Twitter all the time. Now I haven't seen him in a minute. He might have left a minute ago. Another movie I'm looking forward to seeing. This actually looks very good. It is called The Bike Riders, which to me kind of has a feeling, a vibe from like The Outsiders. Not quite, but do it for Johnny. The Bike Riders is a movie that's based off of a true story, or a true premise, at least. It's about a bike gang, an outlaw bike gang. This is starring Austin Butler, aka Elvis Presley. That brother is very talented. I also enjoyed his work in Dune, in the movie Dune. Jodie Comer is an up-and-comer. And Tom Hardy, you might recognize him as Bane and any number of that dude. Excellent actor. Is also starring Michael Shannon, who's very talented. And the guy who played Daryl on The Walking Dead. What the hell is his name? I have it. Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus played Daryl on The Walking Dead. So I'm looking forward to seeing this movie as well. Last week I watched The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And about a quarter of the way through, I was ready to turn it off. I was like, yes, that's right, Veronica Teller. He was Fade Routha, and he was great at it. Austin Butler. Yeah, a quarter of the way through The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is the most recent installment. I was like, where is this going? It's like so slow. It was slow, actually. And it takes place like 100 years or hundreds of years after Caesar, the main character from the first three movies, has passed. And in this movie, he's become like a mythological figure. He's achieved Jesus status, where people are quoting him and saying you should live like him and blah, blah, blah. And they're misinterpreting his words, very much a Jesus thing. So anyway, long story short, it got better. It actually got much better. I did like what they did, but the pacing of this movie needed work. House of the Dragon season finale, very disappointed. Very disappointed. There was all this build up and nothing. You from a season finale, you want something, and now you got to wait 2 years for the next. I was very, very, very disappointed with this bullshit. I'm not spending any more time talking about it. Wifey and I I like to rewatch shows, especially if they're funny. I need funny in my life, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a hilarious show. If I haven't talked about it before, it's kind of like Seinfeld if if the characters from Seinfeld were on crystal meth. It's the best way to describe it. Punxsutawney Mo, what about The Boys? The Boys was excellent. Loved it. Loved The Boys. But yeah, so this is a funny show. Very clever. And now I'd like to move on to the other news topics that were going on today. A tragic story. A passenger plane crashed over Brazil. It lost 62 lives. Unclear if Boeing was involved in this. It seems like Boeing is in the news every day or every other day. But Boeing is involved with this bizarre story. There are two NASA astronauts. Hi, Monique Lee. I see you there, my friend. Two NASA astronauts are stuck up in space until 2025. They're stuck up there because of Boeing. Because of Boeing. Yeah. I almost feel like somebody must have it out for Boeing, because they, as often as their name pops up in the news, I'm surprised that their stock isn't completely worthless by now. They're safe. They're safe for right now, but they just can't. They can't get back home until a year from now. That's terrible. And then even more unsavory news: Taylor Swift had to cancel her three of her concerts out in Europe, in Austria, because a terror plot was unveiled, was discovered. Authorities did apprehend, actually, as of today, their third suspect. The first suspect was this guy here. They're all teenagers. It's bizarre, like 18, 19 years old. And they've been radicalized by either ISIS or Al Qaeda. And the goal was to kill as many people as possible, either by explosive or with those knives, that pictured in the photo here. So it's just terrible. I'm glad that they caught these guys, and I'm glad that nobody was hurt. So you got to take your hat off to authorities who are able to, find a needle in a haystack and disrupt, violent, heinous acts. So bravo to our law enforcement officials for being on point. Feel like they don't, they catch a lot of shit when things go wrong, but there's a lot of stuff we don't even hear about, that went right, and that's why we didn't hear about it. Here's something that went right this week. The Cook Political Report, which is a highly respected organization, they have moved their projections for Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada from lean Republican to toss-up. And somebody asked me on a tweet earlier, they were like, why are you, if Kamala Harris is so great, why are you excited about, just toss-up? Well, because that's positive movement in the right direction. It was lean Republican, and now it's toss-up. It was like this, and now it's like this. If you understand the principles of progress, you don't always go from here to, oh, you can't even see my arm. I was saying it went from here to here, and that's progress. It doesn't always go from here to here. That would be great, but that's not reality. Sometimes you got to settle for incremental progress. So it's August, it went from here to here, and by September, maybe it goes to here, and then by October to here, et cetera, et cetera. Progress, forward progress. And this is what I like. This is a trend. Here's this other model. This was Poly Market. They are a prediction market. And as of a week ago, this thing had Donald Trump up by 63%. 63. And now he's losing by a point to Kamala Harris. This is a big deal. It's very big. It shows a shift in national mood. It shows. And granted, I know these are polls and they're supposed to be meaningless, and they are meaningless. They're not accurate. It's not an exact science, but it is an indication. It's an indicator. Whereas, we were wallowing in doom and gloom for a while. So forgive me if I'm a little bit excited about the positive things that are happening. Here's another one. This is from Marquette University poll. Shows Kamala Harris with a substantial 50 to 42% lead over Spanky McDumbass. Mm. Mm. And he's leading Robert F. Kennedy Jr. By a significant amount. Now, there's some interesting news that came out today. Very interesting. I love it when the other side is in disarray. I do enjoy that. Folks, I see a few, let's see, I see at least one, I see one troll there that says, Mel Turnbull, get that son of a bee out of here. You need to leave. Interesting news that came out today. Normally, I don't follow Joe Rogan. I know that he is a bit of an asshole, a clown. He's got probably the most popular podcast on earth. You know, it's got millions of listeners. Good for you. Good, bravo for you that, you know, you use your status to and your audience, your platform to spread misinformation. Yeah, good for you, jackass. But he apparently is now endorsing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm laughing because it is a joke of a pick. If you have any stake in what happens in America, and you're picking the guy who worms ate part of his brain, who is accused of when accused of sexual assault, he said his answer was, I was a rambunctious youth, and there are many skeletons in my closet. What? First of all, the sexual misconduct, you're calling that rambunctious? And you're saying you're saying there's more shit that is yet to come out. And then we find out, in addition to all his other bizarre shit, whether it's, you know, conspiracy theories about Jewish people and Black people being immune to COVID, or this other thing that just came out that he shared. That's the funny thing is that he shares these things. Like it's not like a result of some investigative reporter uncovering, look, this is surprise audio. No, these are things that he's volunteering. Nobody was even asking you, bro. And you're like, oh, by the way, in case you didn't know. And then he opens up this anecdote about the time that he found some roadkill, and it was a baby bear. And he decided that he can salvage this and bring it home and cook it. Bring it home and cook it. But he was on his way to go places, right? He was going falconing. I can count on 0 fingers the number of people I know who do falconing. I'm not, you know, I'm not criticizing the sport or the hobby or whatever. I'm just saying that sounds like a very elite kind of thing. It's not, you know, playing handball. You know, it's not even like flying a kite. It's like falconing. He was on his way falconing. And then he went to Peter Luger's, what do you call it? Steakhouse, which is an exclusive place. In fact, let me just play this thing for you.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7. And that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear, and it was very good condition, and I was going to and put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. And so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes, and saw a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. Yeah. And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So everybody thought that's a great idea. So we went and did that.
Everybody thought that's a great idea. There's so much to unpack from that. I'm not going to spend too much time unpacking that crazy story, but that nobody was asking for. But I thought it was interesting. He said, that's a bit of my redneck past in me. Like, so you just slammed a whole group of people saying that this is what redneck people would do, that they would pretend that they would bring a dead baby bear to the park and make it look like somebody riding a bicycle hit it. I don't think so. I honestly don't think they would do that. Just, I don't think they would have gone out all day falconing and then to a fancy steak dinner, leaving a dead bear rotting, the carcass rotting in their vehicle for that amount of time. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but and then he's like, they all thought, so he's abdicating responsibility for this act. They all thought it was a good idea. It's a horrible idea. Horrible, horrible idea. And he's laughing with the crazy woman, Roseanne. So this is the guy that Joe Rogan said, and I quote, he said, wait, I can't quote because I don't know the exact quote, but basically he said, RFK Jr. was the only one that made sense. Now, I understand if you had to choose between only RFK and Trump, okay, then that makes sense. But, there's a third option. Someone who is not batshit crazy. Someone who is basically in the White House right now, who has experience, a ton of experience. Anyway, let's continue. So this week has been jam-packed, fun. It has been joyful. In fact, earlier today, the hashtag was Kamala gives me joy. Yeah, straight up. She introduced, as I mentioned earlier, Tim Walz, who I previously didn't know very much about. Come to find out that he spent 24 years as an Army National Guard. He's been a teacher. Then he decided to run for Congress. He spent 12 years in Congress, and then he became a governor. So this is a man who has served his country greatly for 24, 12, and then the past 8 years. So 12, 8, 44 years. Wait, damn. He's only 60. He's 60 years old. So He spent the majority of his life in service of America. Hard to beat that. Republicans don't know what to do with this. They already didn't know what to do with Kamala Harris. They've been just using the spaghetti against the wall strategy, just try to throw anything they can possibly throw to see what sticks. So they tried to say that Tim Walz is an ultra liberal. Let's look at some of his policies, shall we? He codified abortion rights for Minnesota. Background checks for private gun transfers. That's a good thing. A red flag warning system to take guns from people deemed by a judge to be a threat to themselves or others. Mind you, it didn't say take everybody's guns no matter what. It just said the people deemed to be a threat to themselves and others by a judge. He himself is also a gun owner. Transgender rights protections. That's going to drive some people crazy, but screw you. You're going to say a whole group of people doesn't deserve rights? Banned conversion therapy for LGBTQ people. Paid family leave, paid family medical leave and sick leave. Legalize recreational marijuana. Driver's licenses for undocumented residents. That one is going to be that's going to be a tough sell. But your choice is either you have undocumented residents who are driving illegally, or you find a way to get them a fucking driver's license. There's a difference between having a driver's license that indicates that you are not a documented resident and allowing them to, their big concern is they're going to vote in presidential elections. No, they are not, and they cannot. They cannot. Expanded education funding and $1 billion investment in affordable housing. Restoration of voting rights. This is an interesting one. They were the Trump campaign specifically decided to pick on this one: restoration of voting rights for former felons. Can you think of a certain felon that might appreciate the right to vote? I can. He's a convicted felon by the name of Donald Trump. So, yeah. And another big thing that he did was he gave school kids access to breakfast and lunch free. It's great. So Kamala Harris, bravo for an excellent pick. She had a very deep bench of candidates. Naturally, the right wing and the media combined forces to try to find fault with her selection, saying that they wanted to make some kind of fuss out of the fact that she didn't pick Josh Shapiro, who is, by the way, he's a fantastic candidate, governor of Pennsylvania, and he's Jewish. Some people were trying to say that what she did was anti-Semitic, that she overlooked him in favor of the qualified white man. Isn't that reverse DEI? Make up your goddamn minds. Shit. It's crazy. Also, Kamala Harris's husband is Jewish. See what I did? That's the Joe Biden whisper. That was a proper time to use the whisper. But Joe Biden, I feel, overuses that whisper. He uses it all the time. Sometimes when it's not even necessary. All right, enough of the whisper. Anyway, the people have been turning up in droves for Kamala Harris's events, for her rallies. Just tremendous crowd size. It's great to watch because all along I have said that I didn't need to see Joe Biden in a big massive rally. I didn't need to see thousands of people to know that he's a good man and he's a good leader. And I maintain that for either for Joe Biden or for Kamala Harris. I don't need to see these massive crowds. But that said, knowing that it is such a point of contention that Donald Trump assigns so much importance and so much value to the size of a crowd, it's hilarious that her crowds are so massive. She has massive crowds. And man, these folks, the folks who are in the crowd, and Kamala and Tim Walz are joyous. You know, when they address the crowd, like the electricity is just cracking, it's just jumping off them into the crowd, and you can feel it. You can feel it. I can feel it through my TV set. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Excuse me. Let's see. I do have some clips here. Here's one. No, wait, not that one. Let's go to this one here. Check this shit out. Oh, wait. Damn it. You couldn't see that, right? Fuck. Sorry. Hang on. Let me totally forgot. I need to do that share screen thing. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, here we go.
Democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. That's right on plan.
Okay. So yeah, would you believe that the crowd I just showed you, Donald Trump was trying to say yesterday at his unhinged, deranged press conference that was only 1,000 people. Sick. He's out of his goddamn mind. What I love about that, hello, Elaine Prieto, I see you, my friend. What I love about that is that you can hear the young kids. Don't ask me how I can hear teenagers and young 20 somethings in the crowd, but I hear that, enthusiasm. And there's a lot of young folks who previously were not interested at all in this election. They were unenthused. Some of them might have grudgingly cast a vote just because their parents were harassing them about it, but they weren't excited about it. None of these young kids were excited about it. Very few. But now it's a lot of people. And so I said I was going to mention about John Kelly, the illustrator who did all of the artwork for The Littlest President. I was talking to him today because we are moving forward. So with doing the sequel to The Littlest President, The Bigliest Loser, I got off track because not just because I was busy, but because something didn't feel right in me creatively. It just didn't feel right. I felt like this story is something is wrong with this story. And strangely enough, that became resolved when President Biden stepped aside in favor of Kamala Harris. Now, if I had finished this on schedule the way I was supposed to have this thing done like 3 months ago, I would be doing a rewrite right now. So anyway, I'm back on track. With that said, I was talking to John Kelly, my illustrator, who lives in North Kakalaki, and he said the mood in his area in North Carolina is phenomenal. He said it's a change between night and day. People are very enthusiastic. They're very excited. And he said it's a night and day change. So this is positive, very positive news. And, you can't underestimate the power of joy. Look at that. You see what I did? In fact, I feel like I want to sing. Joy, pump it up. And pain, sunshine, and rain. Sing it now, God's children. Joy, pain, sunshine, and rain. This last picture cracks me the hell up. This motherfucker had an umbrella to protect his hair from the rain and left his wife in the rain. It is hilarious. My God. Joy. Oh, and this week, right? Check this out. Talk about low energy. Low energy. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz had 7 events. One of them is not listed here. There was one day she went from Wisconsin to Michigan, 2 states. 7 events this week. Tonight she's in Arizona, a swing state, very important. Donald Trump had one event in Montana. What do you got? Like 3 electoral votes in Montana? He's going to Montana. That's it. 1 campaign stop this week. Very low energy. That's pathetic. That's very sad. And speaking of pathetic and sad, that is the state of the Trump campaign right now. I'm not being cocky. Let me knock on wood, just so. I'm not being cocky. I'm just calling it as I see it, right? If the Harris-Walz campaign were looking like Donald Trump's campaign, I would say the same thing. But frankly, the energy is not there with Trump's campaign. It's very unusual for him to be showed up. He's being showed up massively by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And meanwhile, his chucklefuck of a vice presidential pick, JD Vance, when he's not fighting off accusations of being a couch abuser, this is what his events. This is what his events are looking like, man. Very sad. Very, very sad. Where there's more press than there are attendees. It is hilarious. Here, Meredith Powell says, no to general rapist / couch rapist 2024. Agreed. Oh, and this was a ridiculous stunt that JD Vance pulled. Let me see. Did I grab that? JD. Oh, wait. Here, hang on. Let me show you. Share screen. Let's go here. Here, this is one of JD Vance's events this week, August 7th. This was 2 days ago, Wednesday.
Daughter who were just enjoying their day here in Shelby Township, and you had an illegal alien plow into them and kill this innocent mother and daughter who were just enjoying their day here in Shelby Township, and you had an illegal alien plow into them and kill this innocent mother and daughter who were just enjoying their day here in Shelby Township.
The music in the background makes it even better. It's just, and I love that the camera showed the full 360 or 180 view or whatever. Hilarious. So this thing here, JD Vance showed up with his entourage and on the tarmac to look at Vice President Kamala Harris's plane. I think it's what do they call it? What the hell's the name of the presidential plane? I can't. It's fully escaping me. Air Force. No, that's not it. Anyway, to look at her plane and say, that's going to be my plane. That's going to be my plane someday. And the only reason I'm talking to you guys is because Kamala Harris won't talk to you herself. Air Force Two. That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. For some reason in my brain, Air Force Two didn't sound right, but Air Force One is the main. I got it now. I got it. No sooner than he says Kamala Harris won't show up to talk to reporters, no sooner than he says that, Kamala Harris showed up to talk to reporters. Yes, she did. Let me go back to this here. Oh, I did not have sectional relations with that couch. Where is it? Beep, 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 beep. Oh, there was it. That was that stupid thing there. Cannot find it, but while we're here, wait, no. Sometimes my bookmarks act crazy. Would you look at this bullshit? I'm sorry, guys. All right, I'm going to skip it just so we can move this along. Anyway, suffice it to say that Kamala Harris showed up and did speak to some press. Let's move on to Donald Trump's crazy, unhinged press conference yesterday. So at first, they made it seem like he had some major announcement, and I guess couched in his sprawling, rambling, unhinged press conference, there was a little news tidbit that he agreed with Fox News. He agreed with Fox News on a debate September 4th. And then he mixed up NBC and ABC. I think it was supposed to be a debate with ABC on September 10th. He said NBC, and another one on September 25th. Kamala Harris did not agree to any debate with Trump on Fox News on September 4th or any day. Fox News, put that shit out of your mind. I say, that's all he wants. In my opinion, he wants a debate on Fox News with no muted mics, with no fact checking, with audience filled to the rafters as many Trump supporters as he can possibly fit in there. Make it 99%. 99% Trump supporter and 1% Kamala Harris supporter, just so that she could say that there was a supporter in the room for her. This is my belief. And then he makes it look as though, oh yeah, I'm being judicious. I'm saying that let's do 3, only 1 on my turf and 2 on yours. But then after his lopsided Trump rally, it wouldn't even be a debate. It would be a Trump rally. After that shit happens on September 4th, before the other two, you're like, yeah, you know what? On second thought, I don't think I want to do this September 10th or the September 25th. What do you think about that? But he had to. Wait, am I doing an echo? Are you guys? I hope you guys aren't hearing an echo here. Excuse me. But anyway, after I don't think Kamala Harris is going to go for that bullshit. I'm pretty sure she is not. She's got some sense in her head. Oh, I'm an echo chamber, and you came to watch the echo chamber? So sorry, I have to send you away. Bye. No, there was no echo. It was just somebody saying, "Oh, you're an echo chamber." I guess now by having kicked him out, proved his point. Anyway, yeah, so she's not going for that bullshit, and that was one of the things she said in that reporter session on the tarmac. They asked her, "Did you hear that Donald Trump has agreed to debate with you?" She says, "Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing him on September 10th on ABC." And they're like, "Well, would you consider any other debates?" And she said, "Well, we'll see after September 10th." So she's very clear. She's very clear what the deal is. But he had to agree to do a debate. Why? Because he is getting clobbered. He is getting clobbered in the polls. He is getting clobbered on the news. He's getting clobbered with so much exuberance and excitement being generated by the Harris campaign. He is being overlooked in the news cycle. So, what does a maniac like Donald Trump do to wrest control back, or to wrest attention back? He acts like a fucking asshole and spews lie after lie after lie after lie. This was an abysmal display, just a complete disregard for reality. He said shit like that his crowd, he said this was so obscene on so many different levels. He said his January 6th crowd was bigger than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream crowd. It's so obscene and absurd. It is just outrageous. Some estimates put Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s crowd at 250,000. At the most, you could say Donald Trump might have had 50,000 people at his January 6th rally. So let's see. Let me share some of his insanity with you here. Yeah, look at this.
So? So? So?
Oh my God, those filters or whatever. I think that's Snapchat. Those are hilarious. Yeah, here's one.
Spoken to the biggest crowds, no people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, please.
Deranged, absolutely deranged. And you know, he's got so much wrong there. Like Obama's inauguration crowd, bigger than him, famously, way bigger. You know, in fact, earlier this week, Kamala Harris had a rally in a venue that Trump just had a rally at. And in Trump's rally, the upper rafters were empty. And his explanation, his excuse was that, oh, they fire regulations. They said they couldn't have people there. No, that's not it at all, because Kamala Harris filled that whole son of a beach. She filled it up all the way up to the rafters. So you're lying, and we don't even have to go back to January 6th, 2021, or January 20th, 2017. We can just go back to a few days ago and prove your ass that you're a liar. You're a goddamn liar. And excuse me, it was annoying. Lawrence O'Donnell did an excellent job of summarizing what the problem was with yesterday's press conference. And the problem was that the media, MSM, the journalists, the reporters, they failed us. They failed us miserably yesterday. There were so many different questions they could have asked him, but they asked him feckless questions like, what do you think about, Elon Musk is going to ask you some questions on Monday. What do you think about that? What do you think about other people? What do you think about the fact that your ear is miraculously healed 100% despite the fact that a bullet supposedly ripped through it? How did that happen, Mr. Trump? Somebody ask him that. Do I have to do everything for you clowns? God damn it. I would have paid to see the look on his face if somebody asked him about his ear. Look at his ear. Nothing wrong with it. Not a scratch. Nothing. That is a legit question. And here's the other problem, right? They honor his insane questions. Every crazy conspiracy theory that he can cook up in his mind, that sets them off asking Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or anybody. Anything he says, oh, President Obama, maybe he wasn't born here. I feel like because he's got a crazy African Hussein name, maybe he's not American. Go look that up. And then the media's falling all over themselves looking for that information. Or just like a month ago, there was this story that came out that a Parkinson's expert visited the White House 8 times. And so they assumed that they were there at the White House for President Biden, despite the fact that like 5 of the times the doctor was there, President Biden wasn't even in the building. This guy is there for other people. And they went after Karine Jean-Pierre like she stole something, like she was a fucking bank robber, They went after President Biden on a number of different things. About classified documents or something, whatever it is. Whatever crazy thing that pops out of Donald Trump's mind, they will chase that shit down. But legit questions? No. They're afraid to lose access to that jackass. They're afraid to lose the right for him to lie to their faces. It's disgraceful. And I am not doing as good a job as Lawrence O'Donnell did. But what Lawrence O'Donnell did do, which I thought was a beautiful thing, was he showed a speech that Kamala Harris gave yesterday while Donald Trump was doing that baffling, puzzling press disaster of a press conference. Kamala Harris was speaking at the UAW, that's United Auto Workers, and I thought it was a brilliant speech. I'm not playing the whole thing for you, but just a couple of minutes so you see what I'm talking about here. It's right Here we go.
Balance. And then the outcome will be fair. And isn't that what we're talking about in this here election? We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. We want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do. Our campaign is about saying we trust the people. We see the people. We know the people. You know, one of the things I love about our country? We are a nation of people who believe in those ideals that were foundational to what made us so special as a nation. We believe in those ideals. And the sisters and brothers of labor have always fought for those ideals. Always fought for those ideals. And we know we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die trying because we love our country and we believe in who we are. And that's what our campaign is about. We love our country. We believe in our country. We believe in each other. We believe in the collective. We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us, trying to separate us, trying to pull us apart. That's not where the strength lies. And there is that. And so I say to all the members of UAW, and Sean Fain as the first who I talked to about this, I am so deeply honored as a lifelong supporter of union labor for Tim and I to have the endorsement of UAW.
My favorite thing about that speech was how she talked about what her campaign is about love of America and, you know, looking out for each other. We are for the collective. We are for all of us. It was hopeful. That's the thing. That's the major stark difference between a Kamala Harris speech and a Donald Trump speech or a Donald Trump press conference or whatever. Donald Trump started off his press conference yesterday talking about Civil War or World War III, about a stock market crash, about America's a wreck, America's horrible. That's the same shit, the same sentiments he expressed in his 2017 inauguration speech, where he was talking about carnage. He doesn't talk about, you know, the belief in America and that our best days are ahead of us and blah, blah, blah. He looks to just tear us down. It's awful. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris talks about hope, talks about the future, and talks about freedom, and talks about the things we can do to improve our country and to make things better for working people and for everybody. Very big difference. Yeah, so that was that speech there. So there was a moment that she had that could have been ugly, but and it wasn't, you know, it's not ideal. She had a protester. She had actually a number of protesters. And I've seen this. I've seen this firsthand. I've been in fact, what was it, last year or 2 years ago? I went to a Net Roots conference, and there were Palestinian protesters. This was actually before October 7th. And they pretty much hijacked the whole session. We didn't even move forward. There were speakers there to speak about things that would help, you know, the country, that would help the Democratic Party and the country. And they couldn't get a word out because every time they tried to speak, the protesters, were, making noise and disrupting. And I get it, because it is an important issue that they are bringing up. Now, the speaker tried to say, okay, let us hear what you have to say. We're listening. You wanted our attention. You have it. Say what you want to say. And they were not interested in just speaking their piece. They just wanted to tear that whole thing down. So Kamala Harris was not having it. At first, she was like, I hear you. This is a democracy, and this is important that, that everyone is heard. But, at some point, she had to finish saying what she came there to say. So she did. And she let them know that you said what you had to say, but it's my turn, and I'm speaking. Wait, what did I do? Let's stop sharing. Let me try that again. Share screen. There we go.
And he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
So, that was great, because that's a tough thing to do. You don't want to disrespect, and she didn't. But she firmly said, I am speaking, and that's a leader, right? I've seen Donald Trump. He hasn't been heckled like that since 2016. When he was in the White House, nobody ever heckled him ever again. I can't picture him dealing with a heckler or a protester in a humane faction. I've seen him say, get that son of a bitch out of here. Rough him up if you have to. I'll pay the medical bills. I've seen him do that. But I haven't seen him stare down a protester and handle that, diffuse that as effectively as Kamala Harris did just then. Don't get me wrong. It is an important topic for sure. But Kamala Harris has to exert herself, not just as the smiling, happy, laughing, dancing, feel good person. She also has to let people know, I am serious as a heart attack. I'm a serious motherfucker, and she has bona fides. People think that she's a lightweight, that she can't handle herself, that she's afraid of the press and she's afraid of Donald Trump. What? This is Kamala Harris. She's a fucking prosecutor. She's already gone toe to toe with Mike Pence and the fly that was on his head. She handled her business then. She also went toe to toe with the guy who is now sitting on the Supreme Court, Justice Brett Kavanaugh. She made him look silly when she was on the Senate. And then Bill Barr, who was then United States Attorney General. She made him look foolish. And this, I'm sorry if I'm if I'm going heavy on the video clips here, but you absolutely must see this. My favorite part of this, watch Cory Booker's expression during this. Is classic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Barr, has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Watch Cory Booker.
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it. Yeah. Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest. I mean, there have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation, but
Perhaps they've suggested,
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
hinted,
I don't know.
inferred. You don't know. Okay. In your March 24th summary, you wrote that, quote, after reviewing the special counsel's final
But
report.
I will say that no one.
Sir, I'm asking a question. In your March 24th summary, you wrote that, quote, after reviewing the special counsel's final report, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and I have concluded that the evidence is not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense. Now, the special counsel's investigation produced a great deal of evidence. I'm led to believe it included witnesses' notes and emails, witnesses' congressional testimony, witnesses' interviews, which were summarized in the FBI 302 forms, former FBI Director Comey's memos, and the president's public statements. My question is, in reaching your conclusion, did you personally review all of the underlying evidence?
No, we took and accepted. We accepted
Mr.
statements.
Rosenstein?
No, we accepted the statements in the report as the factual record. We did not go underneath it to see whether or not they were accurate. We accepted it as accurate and made our.
So you accepted the report as the evidence?
Yes.
You did not question or look at the underlying evidence that supports the conclusions in the report?
No.
Did Mr. Rosenstein review the evidence that underlines and supports the conclusions in the report, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge. We accepted the statements in the report.
Did
and
anyone
the
in your-
characterization of the evidence is true.
Did anyone in your executive office review the evidence supporting the report?
No.
No. Yet you represented to the American public that the evidence was not, quote, sufficient to support an obstruction of justice offense.
The evidence presented in the report. This is not a mysterious process. In the Department of Justice, we have pros memos and declination memos every day coming up. And we don't go and look at the underlying evidence.
Sir, would you support
the characterization of the evidence as true?
As the Attorney General of the United States, you run the United States Department of Justice. If in any U.S. attorney's office around the country, the head of that office, when being asked to make a critical decision about, in this case, the person who holds the highest office in the land, and whether or not that person committed a crime, would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney. He's the one who presents the report.
But it was you who made the charging decision, sir.
Boom. This is the woman that they are saying is intimidated by press or intimidated by Donald Trump. She will fucking eat Donald Trump's lunch. She will chew him up and spit him out. It's not hard. She already knows what he's going to say. Everybody knows what Donald Trump is going to say. He's very predictable. You thought Hillary Clinton owned him back in 2016? Hillary Clinton was also a lawyer. She will handle her business with him. And I look forward to it. I look forward to people to stop underestimating Miss Kamala Harris. You know, she's had to go through some shit to get to where she is at. It is very hard as a Black woman to get to navigate your way through life, through positions that are typically reserved for white males. You know, you have to deal with a whole lot of bullshit. You know, you have to deal with people thinking that accusing you of being an angry Black woman, you know, perpetuating a stereotype as an angry Black woman, you know. So she has to smile sometimes when she doesn't feel like smiling, just to catch her attitude, lest she be accused of being less professional when A male with the same attitude would just be considered, he's gruff or whatever. And that's perfectly fine. So here she is sitting at the precipice of greatness, of being elevated to president of the United States. And I believe there's no doubt in my mind that she is 100% capable, that she is 100% ready for this job. And I'm looking forward to it. And that's right, Bernadette. I am saying the whole truth. And folks, that's all I have. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. I'm very excited. I'm thrilled about what's happening. And I want to say something about the trap that the press seems to want to fall into over and over and over again. We have to keep calling them out on this bullshit. Think about this. Revelations came out a few months ago that Donald Trump basically tried to do a quid pro quo with a bunch of billionaires, oil company CEOs. So you give me $1 billion and I will fast track getting regulations removed for you, and I'll fast track offshore drilling and all that. Just give me $1 billion. That's a bribe. That's a bribe. Give me $1 billion and I'll make these things happen for you. Quid pro quo. So whatever happened to that? Nah, you're too busy trying to find out, whether or not Tim Walz abandoned his post or whatever. Did you guys hear that? They tried to accuse Tim Walz of stolen valor. This man spent 24 years, volunteered 24 years in the Army National Guard. And they have the audacity. These people who are following a fucking draft dodger, they have the audacity to accuse him of stolen valor? That's outrageous. That's almost as outrageous as following somebody who said that our fallen heroes were suckers and losers. And the press, chasing their own tails, trying to find out, come on, stop taking what this jackass and his pals say as somehow gospel, as somehow, the truth, as somehow being serious. Do your jobs. Dig, but don't dig after this guy throws you something. President Obama was not born in America. He's not an American citizen. Come on with that bullshit. So yeah, if we stay on top of their asses, November 6th, we will be saying hello to Madam President. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you guys here next week. Same time, same place. I love you all. Peace.